Practice more.
Alright, so let me introduce you to my old superhero team. We got Captain Ultra Serious, the leader with no personality except yelling orders. Then there's Miss Backstory, who cries about her tragic past every 5 fucking seconds and doesn't do anything about it. Then there's Tech Dude. He builds gadgets that only work in the most unlikely situations, but also in the dumbest way possible. Then there's Wildcard McQuippy, whose entire existence is just cracking jokes and pissing people the fuck off. That's the team. No conflict, no depth, no nothing. It's just cardboard cutouts and matching spandex. It's bullshit. And nobody likes it. And let me tell you, teams like this are everywhere. Superhero squads that are so overly structured and predictable, they make fucking Papa John's look like a 5-star meal. The problem? They lack the chaos and depth that keep audiences hooked. Where's the drama? Where's the clashing egos? Where's the shit that I like? The moments where they clash and you're wondering, wait, do these people even like each other? But also, it makes you want to keep reading. Here's the truth. Teams should be a little messy. Their individual goals and conflicts should drive the story. That's how you create depth. That's how you create unpredictability. That's how you create a story with emotional stakes that make people need to know what the fuck is gonna happen next, because what now? Krillin crushed a remote for a bad bitch. The Earth is doomed. What now? I can't speak for anybody else, but my team sucked so fucking bad that even the villains were bored. So let's fix it.
I shook up the world!
The reason why the Z Fighters work is because they're not an official team. They barely coordinate. Their lack of cohesion creates internal tensions between the group and accelerates the stakes of the story, but also forces them to resolve the story's conflict by addressing something within themselves that they never accepted. Vegeta willingly allows Babidi to possess him, reigniting his grudge against Goku and prioritizing their personal rivalry over stopping Majin Buu's awakening. This selfish act fractures the Z Fighters and diverts attention away from the real threat. Vegeta's betrayal gives Babidi enough time to fully awaken Buu, pushing the stakes to catastrophic levels as the group loses control of the situation. Vegeta ultimately confronts his own insecurities, admitting his envy of Goku's strength and his longing for acceptance. His self-sacrifice to stop Buu not only redeems him, but forces the team to unify and move past their personal grievances to defeat the greater threat. After Goku dies, Piccolo initially views Gohan as a burden, treating him harshly during the one-year training session because of his belief that Gohan's gentle nature makes him weak. Gohan's fear and insecurity about living up to the insane expectations placed upon him create further emotional distance. Piccolo's sacrifice to save Gohan forces him to confront his own growth and emotional vulnerability, revealing that his harshness stemmed from a fear of caring for someone. This act deeply changes Gohan, awakening a proactive need to be useful to those whom he cares about. Krillin's decision to spare Android 18 forces him to confront his feelings of inadequacy, and his belief that he's weaker or less important than the other fighters. His actions indirectly lead to a deeper sense of humanity within the group, as Android 18 eventually becomes an ally and later a member of the team. This growth also challenges the group to look beyond their immediate strategies and see the potential for redemption in their enemies. Dragon Ball characters are fucking stupid, and that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. Goku's love of fighting stems from his Saiyan nature. However, his willingness to push boundaries often puts others at risk, as he values the thrill of battle over the easy answer. During the Cell games, Goku willingly gives Cell a Senzu Bean to ensure a fair fight for Gohan, raising the stakes dramatically for everyone else. Vegeta's obsession with surpassing Goku stems from his pride as the Saiyan Prince. He sees Goku's strength as an insult to his royal heritage, constantly feeling overshadowed by someone he considers a low-class warrior. During the Buu Saga, Vegeta allows himself to be possessed by Babidi to gain power and finally equal Goku, demonstrating how his pride can blind him to larger threats. Gohan's desire to prove his strength stems from his childhood insecurities because as a kid, he often felt powerless compared to his father and other fighters. So in the Cell Saga, Gohan's reluctance to finish Cell after unlocking Super Saiyan 2 is a result of his internal struggle to balance his gentle nature with the need to be ruthless. This hesitation nearly costs the Z Fighters their lives when Cell gets fat as fuck and self-destructs. Piccolo's arc centers on redemption and surpassing his father's legacy as a villain. He struggles with balancing the past as the evil half of Kami with his current role as a warrior for Earth. To face the looming threat of imperfect Cell, Piccolo merges with his other half and becomes the complete, fully realized Namekian he once was, no longer needing to cast aside his evil to be a guardian. And last but not least, my favorite character, Krillin. Krillin's goal is to overcome his fear and insecurity as he's often the weakest among the Z Fighters. Despite this, he's consistently putting himself in harm's way for his friends. In the Namek Saga, Krillin faces off against Second Form Frieza, despite knowing he's completely outmatched, buying time for Goku. In the Cell Game Saga, he tries to make up for his mistake by turning over Android 16 to the good side, and in the Buu Saga, he protects his family against Super Buu in a fatal attempt, knowing that he's gonna fucking die. 5'3", bald, fishes for bitches, genuinely a nice, great guy, and fights for the Earth despite being one of the weakest Z Fighters. That's why he's the fucking GOAT. Dragon Ball, and especially Dragon Ball Z, frequently shifts focus among characters, ensuring that no one character dominates the narrative. It keeps the story fresh, it allows other characters to shine, it builds audience investment, and it's just generally a narrative technique that I don't really see utilized enough within team stories. So all this shit that you just absorbed, how do you apply it to your own comics? I wouldn't make one character the consistent leader of the team. Instead, I let internal conflicts and personal goals drive the narrative. The team's evolution should come from their mismatched personalities and shifting dynamics, adding tension and unpredictability to every storyline. That's what makes the team feel alive, not just having someone bark orders while everyone else follows. A great team isn't one person carrying out the story, but a group of individuals clashing, compromising, and growing together. For the Changers, this approach is already built into the story. Every character has an arc, and I have long-term plans for them, even if I don't have every single plot point mapped out yet. What I do know is where the story is going and how it will challenge each character. And when the characters aren't being proactive, they're reactive, which is just as important. Even if a character makes a dumb decision, it's not just about the choice itself, it's about why they made that choice and how it affects the people around them. Maybe it was based on flawed logic, past trauma, or desperation, but it felt right to them in the moment, and now they have to deal with the consequences. That's the key, consequences. Let's say a character makes a reckless decision because they thought it was the best move. It's not necessarily bad writing or out of character, but it is a flawed choice, and that's what makes it interesting. Maybe this decision hits its breaking point in the climax of the arc, or maybe it builds tension that explodes in the next arc. Either way, the story will address it. Through the reactions of the other characters, the way that they respond to that choice says just as much about their own perspectives and values as it does about the mistake itself. Like, think about it. How many superhero teams just brush past their conflicts? How many stories just reset the dynamic after every arc? If characters don't remember past mistakes, if they don't hold grudges or shift their attitudes, then what's the point? If your team always just snaps back to normal, then the conflict wasn't real to begin with. You want the audience to feel like everything matters, that choices, victories, and failures stick with these characters. That's something that I think a lot of amateur superhero teams miss. So many teams are overly structured with conflicts that feel too clean, like everything's just following a checklist, but the best teams feel messy, just like real people. Superhero teams should embrace perfection and let individual goals, personalities, and conflicts shape the story. That's what keeps audiences hooked, and it's what makes writing them exciting. And hey, if you're a writer struggling to make your superhero team feel alive, try this approach. Write a scene where your characters completely disagree on something. Make them annoy each other. Make them fuck up. Make them rethink their relationships. You'll be surprised how much depth it adds. And the reason why I say that so confidently is because my superhero team used to low-key be fucking garbage. But through trial and error and having Dragon Ball be probably my favorite anime of all time, I've watched this multiple times and I've explored the way that the team interacts with one another, the characters' individual goals, the depth, unpredictability, and emotional stakes that their mistakes contribute to the story, making the narrative more addictive. And the thing is, Toriyama barely planned anything in Dragon Ball. As a matter of fact, he was writing shit as he went along chapter by chapter a lot of the time. So I think it's a real testament to his genius that he was able to create character dynamics that were so imperfectly perfect that video games keep fucking retelling the story over and over again because it's peak. The Z Fighters thrive because of their imperfection. Their individuality and chaotic unity create dynamic storytelling, and that's why with Dragon Ball you never knew what was gonna come next. The Z Fighters prove that a team doesn't need to be perfect or even balanced to be compelling. Embrace individuality, internal conflict, and shift focus to create richer, more addictive stories that you give a fuck about. By the way, this is why I think Dragon Ball Super failed, writing-wise. It's because it's just a Goku and Vegeta show. Everybody's fucking worthless. There's no shifting focus. Vegeta has a character arc, but it's basically rehashed from Z for the most part. Goku's fucking stupid, and he has no arc. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't think about it. To be fair, Toriyama didn't think about it either, but he knew his characters. And so writing it was natural for him. Anyway, I digress. Dragon Ball Super fucking sucks. And apply this technique to your comics. I'll see you later, bitch.
My life be like,
holy shit. Imagine if there was a way I could get exclusive assets, tips and tutorials to grow my comic making skills, and behind the scenes drawings and visual development for everything Noximation's working on? That would actually be fire.